Hi, everybody. Um, Romy Hill here, and I want to wish everybody a happy solstice. And this is an exciting time of year for me because I love it when the light starts coming back into the northern hemisphere. So I am just so happy. I love the longer days. I'm just like, yes, yay. So today I have a bunch of stuff for you. I do reels on Instagram every week. So I have some of those techniques. I'm going to show them in greater depth. And it's lovely to see you in the chat. Thank you for joining me. And so also today, I'm going to be showing you how to make a cup of light. So that is it's a free pattern. This is what it looks like. It's available on Ravelry or on designsbyromy.com, and I have links for you in the notes. And perfectly free. And this is how it's laid out. So it's a photo tutorial that shows you step by step how to make these. And I'm just going to show you, like, I'm taking my life into my hands today because I'm going to show you stuff with water and glue. So I hope this goes well, but yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be okay. So hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Love to see you in the chat. So for those who don't know me, I am Romy Hill and I am the designer behind Designs by Romy. And I also love teaching and showing people little tricks to make your knitting look better. And I particularly love lace because I love the patterning and all of the fun things about it. So when I started to design the cup of light, I thought, oh, I'm going to make it this really pretty lacy thing. And then I thought, knit stitches are so pretty on their own. I really don't need to do anything special. So instead of doing something lacy, I just used stockinette stitch, just plain stockinette stitch, because it's so pretty when it's loose. And with the light inside the little cup, it's really beautiful. So perfect for the solstice. And I hope you'll have a bunch of them around. Also, you can use them for other holiday celebrations like Christmas and New Year's and Hanukkah and you name it. So, anyway, hey, happy solstice, everybody. So, I'm a little delayed. So since I'm live, it takes a little bit of time for me to get to you. So what I'm saying right here takes a few seconds, and then I will see if you write any questions in the chat, and I will answer those. So I'll be keeping an eye, but it will be a little bit delayed because of just the way that the broadcast software buffers. Okay, so first, I just want to go over a couple of things. I had a special request about the snuggle slips. So this is a pattern from my Acts of Kindness ebook, and they're little slippers. So I'm just going to quickly go through that and do a few little techniques before I get to the wet part of this show. So let me switch over here. Okay, so this is what they look up like up close. And they're knit in the round, so they start at the toe and then they work up here. So I actually have the pattern here, and I had a question about chart C. So the first thing I want to say is before you get to chart C, so this is this chart right here. So before you get to that, make sure that you are reading the pattern synopsis because there are written instructions before you get to chart C itself. So after you have finished working chart B, then you're going to do this braid. And the braid is in the glossary in the back. So there's a tutorial, a photo tutorial in the pattern. And then I also have a tiny tutorial on how to do the braid. So you can also look at that on my YouTube channel. So it also shows how to close the braid and all of that stuff. So once you do the braid, and that is this, it's a lateral braid, otherwise known as Vickle or Estonian braid. So after you do that, then you're going to go on to chart C. Um, and one thing I want to say here is that you need that opening. So don't forget to do that part. Um, so once you do the braid here, then you are going to place stitches on waste yarn and hold them. So you are going to be continuing up the back here and working in the round across here. So you are going to put these stitches on a piece of waste yarn, and then you are going to start working the chart, and you're going to be casting on stitches across this side here. So this part right here, this is a last step as the I cord. Okay, so this chart here, this is, let me grab the actual chart. This is what the chart looks like. So half of this is going to be a continuation of the sole right here. So it's going to go straight up from the sole. And then half of it is going to be a continuation from the stitches that you cast on across this opening right here that's going to be for your ankle. And the really, really cool thing about this type of shaping is that when you put these on your feet, they automatically, the way that this is worked, they automatically kind of hug your arch and fit really nicely. They give you a heel that kind of comes down in the back. So there's a question about what on earth I meant here. So this chart is worked. You're going to be holding both yarns at once. So that's called stranded knitting. And I just wanted to note, because it's difficult to see, sometimes you might miss this, that these rows here, so there's rows 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, and 19, these have a decrease on the side here. So you're going to be decreasing a stitch. So over here is an SSK, and then over on this side is a knit two together. So this is what gives you the shape as it comes towards the center. And this is what it looks like over here on the edge. So you can see the rows are decreasing into this edge here. So when I work stranded knitting, I hold both of my yarns in one hand because that's what gives me the best gauge. So I'm just going to show you, this is another project here, but I am going to show you what that would look like. So I knit continental, and when I want to do stranded knitting, I just hold my stitches in one hand like this. So this is the dominant color that I'm holding on the left. So that will pop a little bit more than the not dominant. I don't know, submissive. That seems really weird. The the non-dominant color. And so it doesn't make a huge lot of difference when you're going along in something like this with the stripes. But you will notice the difference if you get them mixed up. So just choose either one that you want to choose and just make sure that that one is on the left. So this is one way to do it. Some people do it one yarn in both hands. Some people drop the yarn and pick it up. So the dominant color is always going to be the one that's held to the left. So just remember, whichever one you choose, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So yeah, okay. So here I am going to show you, I'm not gonna be knitting the pattern that I've been knitting on here, but here is what I would be doing to do this pattern here. So I'm going to make stripes. So it's going to be my dominant color and my non-dominant color. And then I'm just going to go along and alternate those colors like this. So I'm showing you my favorite way of doing stranded knitting. And I know lots of people have different ways they like to do it. So this is the way that I am able to keep a gauge better. So to keep my floats from pulling in the back. So now if you want to do an SSK, so what is that going to look like on the side? You're going to slip, slip, place those back, and then use the color that's shown on the side here on the chart. So that there's a decrease like that. And then on the other side, it's just a knit two together. I'm just going to back out of this. So, and then a knit two together, you're just going to decrease like this. Try to keep the sides a little bit looser. This will tend to pull in a little bit. So try to keep those just a little bit looser. And then as they decrease, as it decreases up to the top, I had pity on you at the very top here. And that is just one color. So that makes it easier right at the heel here. That's what that looks like across the top here. So you can see this. And this is grafted together. You can also do a 3-needle bind off, but it's not going to look as seamless as this does. So that is what that looks like. And the good thing about having the two colors is that you have thicker fabric for your heel, and those it tends to wear much better. So if you make these and you wear them around the house, I suggest like you can get some puffy paint and put little dots on so that you won't slip. So yay. Okay, so Keith, yay, I'm glad you like these. And then Marianne, is there a reason why lace, silk blends, or suri blend don't showcase lace like other yarns? I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest. I like, as far as showcasing yarns, um, I would just say swatch. It's a very personal thing. So very personal the way that you like to see your yarn. So I would suggest swatching in whatever pattern it was um, that you want to use. And if you like it, make sure that you block it, pin it out fully, dress it. Okay, so I had another question. Though the person who asked this wrote back and said, never mind, but I just want to go over this little bit here. Um, okay, so this is my broken trails, and let me switch over. Okay, it's back here behind me, the other way. Yeah, over there. So this is a question about the chart. Let me get back here. Okay, so I had a couple of questions about this, and that is why I am going to talk about this. So over here on this side here, I used a 7 in one of the stitches. So this is an actual, this one square is worth 7 stitches. And I know that there are actually some patterns that I see that have a number there to represent the entire number of stockinette stitches that are worked, but this one is actually worth 7 knits, and then here it's worth 7 purls. So, and the way that you can tell if you're looking at if you're looking at the key, you can take a look here and you see that this actual key here is that one block here is worth 7 stitches. So, so in here, although it says 12 stitches in the written instructions, this is 7 plus the other 5 surrounding it. So just a heads up to people. And then Marianne, you said the stitch definition. So yes, in that case, there's definitely a reason that Surrey would not showcase stitch definition. It's a really fuzzy yarn. So it's not going to give you stitch definition. So luckily though, there are so many beautiful yarns to choose from that it won't be a problem. Okay, so I showed a few little tricks in my reels this past week. So this, I started this in the round, and I used a trick for joining in the round that I love to use whenever I join a bunch of stitches in the round so that it won't twist. So this so what I do is I cast on the full number of stitches and then I turn and then I work one row flat and I turn again and then I join it after that second flat row. So what that does is it leaves this little notch here in the bottom. So when I put these together, like when I join to knit in the round, I don't do anything special because I know that I'm going to sew this up. So I've just left a little bit of a tail here. It's not really any more than you would use to be able to sew in your ends or anything like that. So it's just a bit of a tail that I can use to sew the edge together. So I would usually do this as a last step without all the needles kind of hanging out there, but here's my little notch here, and I'm just going to thread this on. Okay, so this was my tail, as I was saying before. I'm just going to go over to the other side here, and I start sewing at the very bottom. And I actually put this in quite a few of my patterns where I have a start that's in the round because it's much easier to join these, join to knit in the round this way. Hi, Terry. Nice to see you. Happy solstice. Okay, so, and then on the other side, you can see I just sew this together and then I'm just going to leave it until later and I will sew the rest of that end in. But you can see here, it makes a really nice join. And I'll talk some more later on in another live about this type of start right here. It's a start that I like to use just because it gives sort of a reverse stockinette I-cord vibe, but it's way easier. So really all it is that these first few rows here are purled. So it just curves under and it gives a nice finished edge where it shows the actual, this is the actual cast on at the bottom. I just used a backwards loop cast on, and that is completely covered up because that curls around. Okay, so let's talk about ribbing. So I like to geek out a lot about ribbing, I will admit. Like I-cord, I love I love ribbing. So this is my method that I use to keep um, my untwisted ribbing, like so I can keep my knitted columns looking really neat. Because this second knitted column here tends to get a little bit bigger, the one right before the purl there. And you can see on this side, the technique I'm about to show you um, puts the extra yarn kind of into that purl stitch here and hides it that way. So this is not a good one if you want to fold your ribbing over, but it's great if you're only going to see that one side. So this is in the round, and then I'll show you what this would look like if you were going to do it um, flat. So I'm using two circular needles. I love using two circular needles. If you want me to talk about that at a later date, I would be happy to do that too. Okay, so I'm going to use a an Eastern purl. Okay, so on the setup row, your purl stitch or all your stitches are going to probably be mounted with the right leg in front and the left leg in back if you are a Western style knitter. So this is going to be like using the combination purl to make your knitting, your ribbing look neater. So I'm going to go into my purl stitch as usual, and then I went over the top of the yarn. So that is going to mount my purl stitch with my right leg and back. And then the second one, I'm going over, the yarn's going over the top, and that is a regular Western purl. The knits are the same as always. Okay, so if I were going to do that, um, if I were going to do that English style, so I would go in to my purl, and then the yarn is going to wrap around the bottom and up for my Eastern mounted purl. And then for my Western mounted purl, it's going to go over the top as usual. So because this is in the round, as you're working, as you work every round, your stitches, your first purl stitch is going to be mounted always with the right leg in the back. So when you come to it, you're going to be purling through the back loop, and you're going to be doing an Eastern purl. Oops, I almost did a Western one. I'm going to be doing an Eastern purl on every round right after this last knit column here. And then my next purl is going to be a Western purl. So let's take a look at that using English style. So I'm going to be, I hope you have lots of sympathy for me as a continental knitter. My hands don't, my hands don't do English style as well as they used to. So I'm going to, on that first purl column, I'm going to purl through the back loop, and my yarn is going to come underneath. And my next purl stitch is going to be knitted normally, Western style, normally for me. So I'm going to, my yarn is going to go over the top. Okay, so that is what will happen if you are working in the round, but what if you're working flat? So I'm just going to turn this work and I will show you what it looks like if you're working flat. Okay, so if you are working flat, you are going to choose, you're going to have a right side and a wrong side. You're going to sacrifice your wrong side to make your right side look nice. Okay, so here is my wrong side. So I'm just going to knit. So the second knit stitch in each group is going to be mounted with a right leg and back. So I'm going to work my stitch through the back loop, and then I'm going to purl my usual Western purl on the back. Because if I do an Eastern purl when I'm on the back, then I'm going to get this stretched out area on the front, and I'm going to have really weird looking uneven columns of knits, and I do not want that to happen. So again, if that's English style, so the first knit stitch is knit as usual. And then the second one here is going to be mounted with the right leg and back. And I am going to knit that one through the back loop. And that's going to straighten out my stitches again. They're all going to be Western when I get to the other side after this. And then I'll be going, oops, I always do that. I'm so used to, I used to actually knit like this, but now I'm used to continental more. Okay, so once this side is done, when I turn it over, I'm going to have all Western mounted stitches. And then I will begin again doing that Eastern purl. So it's going to be every other row is going to have the Eastern purl. So it still looks really nice. You can see, like, I didn't sacrifice anything because I did my Western pearls across the back. Everything looks fine. It's all good. Okay, so, and I have more fun with ribbing because I love the little details here that make knitting special, that make it look neater and tidier. And I just love all the little details. Okay, so here's another ribbing style. And on this side, you can see the columns are twisted. The knit columns are all twisted. So let's turn it to the other side, and you can see on the bottom here, that was the purl column, and it is not twisted. Up above, this was a purl column from the other side, and it is twisted. So the bottom is a half twisted rib. So some people actually like to use this, like just this part here, like this half twisted part, to make their knit columns look tidier. And it does make them look tidier than they might otherwise. Um, I actually prefer this side of the half twisted rib with the twisted column of knits. So when would you use half twisted and when would you use fully twisted? So the half twisted, I would use that if I weren't going to fold my ribbing at all. So I like the way that it looks on this side. It's okay on this side. I know that like I think that's perfectly acceptable ribbing. It's stretchy because it's only half twisted, so it's nice and stretchy. So whenever I'm doing ribbing, I will mostly do a half twisted ribbing. And I often do this in the round, so I don't have to worry about the back side where I am doing purl through the back loop to twist it. So this is flat though, and I will show you what I'm doing. So fully twisted, I really like, and I've actually designed a pattern like this before, where you do the bottom part is a half twisted, and then because it folds, the top is fully twisted. So when you fold that over, it matches. So both sides match. The half twisted has a little bit more stretch to it than the fully twisted, which is also nice because you want that ribbing when you fold it over, you want it to be nice and snug like that. Okay. Um, so Cynthia asked, you mentioned that I mentioned my hands don't work like they used to. Neither do yours. Oh. Um, yes, actually, you asked if I found that continental was easier on the joints for me. Yes, like um, I had some joint pain before, and I did actually work really hard on changing my knitting style so that there was less of an exaggerated movement. So when I knit, I don't have very large movements, and I'll show you what I mean. So for me, that's the case. Not for everybody though, but I hold my yarn really close to my needle. So for me, yes, it's been helpful, and I also stopped moving my wrists and my elbows as much. I used to get some problems with my elbows when I knitted as well. So, and it definitely it took some experimenting. So I took a lot of the I don't know, emphasis off of my shoulder and my elbow moving and tried to just pare down the motion to something smaller. So I hope that answers your question. But it's not the same for everybody. Like I've heard people say that continental is really painful for them. So I think it's a really personal thing. And Carson Demers has a book on ergonomics. He's like actually really knows what he's talking about, and I suggest it. Definitely read that. Okay, so I'm going to show you the fully twisted ribbing. So for that, you are going to knit through the back loop and then purl through the back loop on every single row. So every row is going to be knitting through the back loop and purling through the back loop. And show you that English. So here is English style, and it's just knitting through the back loop, purling through the back loop. So now when you do a half twisted rib, on one side you are going to twist your knit columns, and on the other side you are going to twist your purl columns. So one side, um, so if this were the wrong side here, I would twist my purl column and knit my knit column straight. So that would be on the wrong side. So I would knit straight, twist the purl. Okay, and then I do have a lot of beautiful ribbing like that in my slalom mitts. So I suggest those. They're actually like a really fun project to do. Okay, so now for the cup of light. Yay! These are so fun, and hopefully I will not make a giant mess of this whole thing. So, so they're super, super fast. And here I have like the entire tutorial here. So hopefully like this will be a great sort of video addendum to the tutorial. Okay, so this is what I use to put inside them. They are just little tiny, oops, they're little tiny lights that you put, they have a little cork in there, and you just put them in wine bottles. I like these because the cork is so tiny and it fits really well into the cup. And I will show you, I'll show you what it looks like in the cup. I have one to show you later. Okay, so I'm just going to show you basically start to finish here. So this is going to be super loose. So this is just a fingering weight yarn, and you can choose any type of fingering weight yarn you want. So I used a backwards loop cast on. Oh, so Cynthia, hang on, I just want to see what you said here. Yes, I actually I also used wrist braces. So I had like a wrist and thumb brace. And then you can actually see in my pictures in here, I was using a thumb brace because then I had a thumb problem. So yeah, I totally hear you. Okay. So the tail doesn't have to be any particular length or anything. This is just going to be like the loosest ever. Um, And all I'm going to do is cast on with a backwards loop cast on. And I am going to cast on 18 stitches. So this is like so loose. 5, 6. And this is also called an E cast on. So I'm casting on so that my right leg is in front and my left leg is in back. And I don't want to twist any stitches in this because you'll be able to see it really well. And I just want it to be nice and open and loose so that that stitch is really pretty and loose. And I think knit stitches are so pretty. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so here's my 18 stitches. I don't care, like this is a really kind of sloppy cast on, a backwards loop if you're not really doing anything with it later, like picking up stitches from the other side or whatever. This is going to be really loose, but I really don't care. Um, this is super, super loose, and I will show you just how messy it looks. And it's like completely fine that it looks that messy. And it does not matter because you are going to make it into a really pretty thing. So this is actually like, even if you are a beginning knitter and you're doing this, um, it's like, don't worry about any little errors in there because I think that that would just give it character and make it even prettier. So um, just going to get to the end here so I can show you how ridiculously loose this is. It's like flopping around. See how loose and floppy that is? And that's what you want because you're going to be stretching this like crazy. So it's totally fine. And so what you're going to do is work 23 rows in stockinette stitch. And this is going to get like super loose. It doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter if your stitches are even. This is like just all you want is the fact that the stitches are there. They don't have to be even, they don't have to be pretty, they just have to be loose. You don't want a nice fabric. You want it just super, super loose. Okay, so that I wouldn't bore you to death, I actually have a few little samples here to show you. So you're going to work 23 rows of stockinette stitch, and that is what it's going to end up looking like. So like just really big knit stitches like this. So it doesn't matter if it is exactly 23, but 23 will give you a pretty good square once you have wet this, and it gives you a pretty even square. So, but it doesn't hugely matter. And in case there are some beginning knitters watching this, so to count, if you lose count, here is how you can count to see how many rows you've done. So down here, you're going to see this little loop part here. That is your cast on row. So you're not going to count that. You're going to start counting the holes above that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then these loops up here, that is your 23rd row. So I'm ready to bind off. And I'm going to bind off purlwise. And what that means is I'm just going to purl and then bind off my purls. And this needs to be really, really loose. So like ridiculously loose, like flopping around on your needles loose, like like this. Like it is super loose. So that is because the cast on row is really going to stretch. So you want your bind off to look extra, be like extra super stretchy. So all I'm doing is just purling and then slipping that stitch over. And by the way, I am using, I don't know if I said this before, I'm using US 10s, 6mm needles, which is ridiculously large for this. This is a light fingering weight yarn. And it really doesn't matter what type of yarn you use. So you can use all sorts of things. This is like a leftover I had. It's like a silk and merino single. So it's got a little bit of sheen to it. So I'm just continuing on. It looks really sloppy. So if you are like me, it's going to be hard for you to do this because it looks so sloppy. And you're just going to be thinking, oh my gosh, it's way too sloppy, but it's not, I promise. Okay, so I'm at the end of my bind off, and I am just going to cut that. I grab my scissors. So I don't need a very long tail because I'm going to put glue on this. Okay. So here's what it looks like. And I am like really embracing my uneven stitches in here because I think it gives it lots of character. So you can see here's the cast on row. So see how much that stretches. And here's the bind off. So even as loosely as I bound off, the bind off isn't quite as stretchy as a cast on. So even as sloppy as that looked. So hopefully that gives you the impetus to cast off like as loose as you can possibly cast off. Okay, so once that is done, let me grab my needle here. And it doesn't really matter how well you stick these ends in because you are going to glue this all together anyway. So I'm just going to sort of go in and out of the edges here and try to sort of keep this loose, but I am not actually going through any of I'm not going through the strands. So like for instance, when I sew things in, I will go through some of the strands, but here I am not doing that. I just went in and out. So now I'm going to trim this and do the other one. And so again, so this is what I mean. I'm not going through it like through the middle here like that. I'm just going in and out. It doesn't really, I just like to be able to loosen it if I need to. So that's what's happening. And I'm just weaving it in really loosely. Okay, so Marianne, we're going to use like Elmer's and not skin glue. Skin glue is only for skin. Okay, alrighty. So this is what it's going to look like before you get it wet. That is what it's going to look like. Okay, so let's, alrighty. So here's my watery thing here. I'm gonna move this over and I'm gonna put a little, oops, kind of, let me readjust that. Okay, so I got this wet. I have a little bowl here. It's completely and totally wet. So I did the same steps as the other one. I just got this totally and completely wet. I'm going to wring out as much water as possible and move this dangerous little watery bowl somewhere else. And I'm just like getting the extra moisture out with this towel. So I don't want it to be like super watery or anything. You can already see like I got that wet. Okay, so I don't want it to be, I just want it to be damp. So now it's damp. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I prepared a juice glass. So let me switch over here for a sec. So this is my juice glass here. It's not very large. I like the flare to it. So this is what I'm going to use for my mold. And you can see inside here, I put cling wrap all around it. It's completely covering the glass. And believe me, I tried this without cling wrap before. Don't do that. It will be really hard to get off the glass. You'll have to soak it off the glass. But the cling wrap really, really, really helps. So it's completely covered and the ends are inside here, just sticking to the inside of my glass. So that's what I'm going to use for my mold. And I prepared this ahead of time. So let me grab my other stuff here. And while we are here, I use like these food service gloves, and I'm particularly going to use them right now because I don't want to touch my electronics with gluey hands. But they're they're really helpful. Um, they're just they cover your hands, or you can just use any type of glove because we're going to use Elmer's glue. Ta-da! School glue, because it washes out. So if there are any gluing mishaps, you can wash them out. Okay, so I have that set, and I am going to transition back over here. Okay, so I'm actually going to move this over, and I have a pie plate under here so I don't get like a whole bunch of glue on everything. So here is my little swatch here. I mean, it is a swatch, but it isn't a swatch. Like it's my project, but it is sort of like a swatch. Okay. And Judy says she uses the gloves for everything in the kitchen. I love them too. Like definitely for onions and garlic. When I cut onions and garlic. Okay. So this is still damp. And if yours was not damp, then you'd want to dampen it back up. So you're going to put a bunch of glue in your hand. I'm just going to take the top off here because I think it would be easier to just take the top off. Okay, so let's get the glue in here. So you're probably going to use more glue than you think. So it's going to be like super messy. And you want to work the glue in to everything. Like I don't think I have quite enough glue in there yet. Just a little bit more glue in. Okay. So it needs to be like it actually needs to be white. Like this. See how that's getting white? And you want all of it to be, you want to be able to see the glue really well. Otherwise, you're not going to have enough to make it stick to the cup. I think that's going to be enough. Okay, and I'm just going to work that in until it just looks like, a gluey mess. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. And now I'm going to take my glass and stick it down here. Okay. So I guess it doesn't really matter which side you put it on. I like the knit side to show. So hang on just a minute. I'm going to actually make that wider so you can see better. Don't worry, I took my glove off to fiddle with my electronics. Okay. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. You can see down here what that looks like so far. So May asked if that was wood glue. No, it's just plain Elmer's school glue. So it's nothing fancy. It's just the white schoolroom glue that you probably used as a kid. Okay, so it's over the top here. So once we have it like that, I'm going to twist these around. Like each of the corners here, I'm just going to twist to the other side. And all you have to do is stick them down to the glass because you have lots of glue on that glass. So they'll stick really nicely to the glass. And here's the last one. Just going to pull that down and turn it over. Okay. So sometimes they sort of pop up a little bit. So after you have stuck them down, probably just going to have to set it down on something and then sort of clean up around the side. Okay, so I'm just sort of cleaning up around the side and evening these out. So you can see that, I think. I'm just going to even this out a little bit, and then I'll show you the side view so you can see this better. I'm going to take my gloves off so I can touch my electronics. Okay. Okay, so let's take a look at this. So you can see down here that that's what it looks like around the edge. So right around the side there, I'm gonna sort of like clean that up a little bit. And this side is higher up than the other, but that doesn't really bother me. I kind of like the difference in the shapes, so I'm okay with that. So that's what it looks like. And if you are having problems like this is not sticking as much as you want it to, then you can just put a little bit more glue on there and it will be fine. And then you can stick it down to the side of the glass, which is, and I'm just going to stick this down a little bit more and kind of even it out some more. Okay, so that side needed to come down just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm just going to go around the side and kind of even that out so it looks prettier. So I really like these when they're sort of more open on the side. And yes, I am ridiculously picky. I've learned that it's okay. I'm just going to embrace it. And get back over here. Just opening this up. It may take a few rounds of going around to get this perfectly the way that you want it. Okay, so I think that's good. Okay, so now I am just going to let that sit. And if you actually wanted to um, kind of speed up the process, you can use a hair dryer. So I have used a hair dryer in the past and it really speeds things up. I'm going to put this to the side now. Okay, back over here. And okay, so I wish I could say that I had actually used a hair dryer and dried it in front of you. So, but so May, I don't know where you live. Let's see. I will show you what this is though. It's a washable glue. So this is it's Elmer's school glue. So it's a non-toxic white glue and it's used by kids in the school. It dries clear, but it's white when it comes out of the bottle. And it's ubiquitous in in the US. So it's washable, like it's really low impact. Wood glue would probably be usable, although I think wood glue is tan, or the wood glue that I have is tan. So what you want is something that just dries clear. So if you don't have access to Elmer's, then just something that dries clear. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's dry. So you can see that um, it's pretty stiff. So I'm just going to take that off. And you can see like in here there's little bits of glue in between the stitches. So if that bothers you, you can just sort of flake it off, or you can leave it. Like it doesn't really, I don't think it really has a huge impact on the way it looks. Um, but if it annoys you, it will definitely flake off. So I can just flake it off with my fingernails, and if I wanted to, I could just take my scissors and just kind of go through here and clean it up. That is like you want a really clean one like that. And you can see there's some little flakes around the edge. If you want to clean those off, you can clean those off with your scissors. And some can clean some of that um, flakiness out of in between the stitches. Okay, so that is what it looks like up close. And if you use the same mold for everything, they will be really similar size like this. There will be, of course, I mean, it's handmade, so there are going to be some differences in what it looks like just around the edges, but they'll all pretty much look the same. So that is the size. That's about the size of it. And I'm just going to turn on my lights here and put them inside. So I really love these. So I just put the cork in the bottom, and then you can have the lights inside. So some people have used LED votives. Don't put anything in here that burns. Don't put anything in here that gets hot. But LEDs work really, really well. And it's really beautiful to have just a row of these around, and they're lovely. So, and they don't take very long at all. So I think they're totally worth it. They take just a tiny, tiny little bit of yarn scraps, um, and just some glue and a little bit of time, and then it brings some light into the darker days. So there you go. Um, yeah, so happy solstice, everybody. You can have your own cup of light. And so I used a bunch of different colors of yarn. I really like the blue, like that light blue came out really nice. And then I had another one that I did that was kind of a gold color that I really loved. And they're just fun. Like in the summer, I take the lights out of them and the sun shines through them. I put them on the windowsill and the sun shines through them and they look ethereal. So ridiculously simple, ridiculously easy, silly little things that are just like little pieces of joy. So I hope that you enjoy them. And yeah, so I hope you'll make some. It's a free pattern, like I was saying, available on Ravelry and designsbyromi.com, and the link is in my notes. And as I was saying before, like you probably don't even have to come back to this video. The entire tutorial is in the pattern step by step. But if this helps, I hope this helps. I hope it encourages you to do one. So Claire asked if spray starch would work. Um, if you use spray starch that was like the old type of stiff collars, like that much spray starch in your, like it has to be super stiff. So if your spray starch is really stiff and you use a lot of it, yeah, I think it would work. I have not tried it myself, although I did get a bottle of it to see if it worked. But I also have like a gallon of Elmer's glue that I haven't gone through yet. So I haven't gotten there yet. So, but I do think that it would work. And yeah, so that is about it for today. Thank you all so much for joining me. I have so much fun on my Thursday lives, and I hope that I I hope that you will send me questions, like whatever you have. And I think, oh wait, there are some questions up here that they just came through. Okay, so Diana asked if you could make it with beads. I have not tried it, but I bet you could. I bet that that would be really pretty. Um, I don't think the beads would get ruined. I think that it's possible that they might like get a little cloudy, but I think it would be really pretty because with the lights in there, that would just sparkle more. And I think you wouldn't be able to tell that the beads were cloudy at all. And then let's see. So Marianne asked where the lights are from. These are from Amazon. So Amazon is like my go-to place because I don't live near civilization. So yeah, so you can get these on Amazon, and they're not very expensive. They come in bright white and also in like a warmer color too. And then May says, okay, so the white glue, yes, yes, yes. So anything that dries clear. So like even if you yeah, so whatever it is that dries clear, but you don't want to use like a super glue or something like that, or any type of cyanoacrylate or something like that. You like try just to keep it low impact because if you get cyanoacrylate all over other things, it can cause damage to your clothing or other like everything you have. So this like just whatever is washable and dries clear, that works really well. And then let's see other questions. Let me see. I think I got everybody. I hope. So if I missed anybody, just like write to me and ask me for clarification. And yeah, okay. Okay. Got everybody. So thank you so much for joining me. And I really hope you make a cup of light. I think I like to turn the lights off at night and just have them kind of sitting around in the living room with a nice fire going in the fireplace and looking at my little cup of lights just all over the place. So, So if you like this content, please join me. I I'm usually on here on Thursdays, and you'll see like I'll have a little placeholder for my next live, and you can get a reminder to to join me here. And please like and subscribe. Um, Help me grow my channel so that I can geek out to more people about knitting. So thank you again. Take care, everybody. Happy knitting, joyous solstice, and happy holidays. And I hope to see you very soon. Bye bye.